Good morning, guys, and welcome back to Jamie's Journal. As we've been covering the Gospel of John, which has been a great pleasure, this morning we're going to talk about bad women. How many guys or girls know of any bad women? Okay, there's bad women, bad men, there's bad people in general. So, as we've been going through this journey, we've been taking it in a different perspective. We've been looking at the perspective of how God has entered into our lives as a point of salvation, and then how it's played out. And we've been applying it to the Gospel of John itself. The first miracle happened at a wedding. It was wine. Wine is the significance of life. When Jesus enters your life, bam, you got life, which is new life. All right. Second event that was taking place, Jesus cleansed the temple. So when he cleansed the temple, not only that, that's a purification process. So now we have salvation, purification. Okay, Jesus getting the old stuff out the temple. It's like the same thing with us. In our spiritual lives, he's getting the old out of us. Okay, we call that purification. And then we see the evangelical side of Jesus. When Nicodemus comes to see Jesus by night. And the most historical passage, most memorized passage there is in the Bible, which is John 3:16. And we see how the religious leaders were, I don't want to say dumbfounded, but just went over their head, about the miraculous side of Jesus. So, and then we can correlate that to the salvation in our lives. We have salvation, purification, and I want to say notification. People notice what you have going on. I mean, people notice a new walk in your life. And that's the same thing as Nicodemus done. He noticed something different about Jesus. Yeah, he was a teacher, but he was not like the rest of the teacher. He had a great following. I mean, he had people that just come to him from miles away just to listen to him speak. Billy Graham had that same following. Lots of great godly men had that same following. Billy Sunday. Go on and on and on. And then now we go to the baptism of John. Now the baptism of John is another recorded event as we taking our journey through the Gospel of John. The baptism of John really signifies the old age. Okay? We was up under the dispensation of law. Now John the Baptist brings in a different dispensation. We up under a dispensation of grace because the law didn't work. People would live by the law and just not worry about anything else. And everything was like selfish, self-evident. It was all about them. And when Jesus come in, he didn't abolish the law. He come to fulfill the law to a higher standard, to a more immediate and intermediate, more tangible evidence of grace when he come here. So it's been a blessing. It's been a blessing to me, and I want to share this my journal with you and the nuggets of notes that God has really blessed me with. And today we go to the Samaritan woman, which is really, it's a really good passage, and I've really liked it a lot. But what really intrigues me the most is Jesus' first evangelical outreach is to a woman. Okay, and women play a significant role in the Bible. And I am so happy that they do. And you look at the women that come to the tomb. Look at Mary Magdalene. That's the first one that he appeared to. So, I mean, women have their roles in the Bible. Women have their roles in their spiritual life. Women has lots of roles. I mean, every man's raised by a woman, right? Hey, so to catch you up on the little the passage here, what we're going to do is we're going to read it and then just compare it to my journal here. Okay. We're just going to start in John chapter 4 and go through 7. John chapter 4, 7. And we're going to start in verse 7. There came a woman of Samaria to draw water. Jesus said to her, "Give me a drink," for his disciples has gone away into the city to buy food. Therefore, Samaritan woman said, how is it you, being a Jew, ask me for a drink, and I'm a Samaritan woman? For the Jews didn't have no dealings with Samaritan. Jesus answered her and said, if you knew the gift of God, who says to you, give me a drink, you would ask him, how would I give him you given living water? She said to him, sir, you have nothing to draw with. The well is deep, and you don't, what did it say? Then do you get that living, where do you get that living water? I love this. All right. You are not greater than your father Jacob, are you? And he gives us the well to drink out of himself. And Jesus answered her, everyone who drinks of this water will thirst again. But whoever drinks of the water will give him, shall never thirst, and the water I will give him will become in him a well of water springing up eternal life. The woman said to him, sir, give me this water so I never thirst again, or come all the way out here to draw. He said to her, go call your husband. And so now from here, he identifies, he basically puts the rubber to the road. He's like, hey, he asks her questions, and she identifies that he's a prophet. But he's more than a prophet. He's God. He's God in flesh. But what really intrigues me is how Jesus handles this situation with her snapping at him. I mean, he is God himself, and she is a Samaritan woman, which respectfully said, let's go to Jamie's journal, and let's get some meat and potatoes right here. Okay, it's no wonder why Scripture records Jesus' first audience for a witness is a woman. As the woman snaps at him, he listens to the patience and the calmness he displays at this lady. Respectfully was the lowest of the low, and for her to snap in disrespect at the highest of the high man on earth, it was pretty hard. Side note, imagine an ex-wife giving you the treatment like this right here. Could you display the fruits of the Spirit like this? What we see out of Jesus is character. When you get pushed, how are you going to respond to your boss, your spouse, your children, especially the people we don't feel that have the same value or lower value like the Samaritan woman? Spiritual character is free gift from God, and an end result is winning people to Christ, like in this story. So we see the end result is she runs and goes to the city and starts telling everybody about Jesus. She found the Messiah and all this right here. So, if he would have come up with a different approach, I doubt he would have won that woman like the way he did. And that's the same way about us is, where is our spiritual character? Same way about the Gospels. You got the wedding, life. You got cleansing temple, purification, go on. And then now this is another trait that we get in our salvation is spiritual character. And Jesus is displaying this right here as spiritual character. Who is our spiritual character? I mean, do we display the fruits of the Spirit in Galatians 5:22? When we get pushed back. Let me tell you something. When we are being pushed back, when we are going through trials, when we are at our lowest of the low, people are watching us. Not only are people watching us, but they're observing. It's like, hey, is he the Christian that he puts himself out to be? What if he's still reading his Bible now? We see this all the time. Now we go on, and it's tough. I mean, it is. It's tough. But James records, it's only for a season. Not only that, there's a finish line. And God has a reward laid up for us after we get through with this on earth and in heaven. So, I mean, just look at it. I mean, there's times in my life, for example, that I went through rough times. I'm talking about really rough times. But guess what? They're behind me now. And Jesus has matured me to a point where I'm able to handle a similar situation to like that again and better adapt to it. So we're we're his spiritual life projects, and as long as we be obedient to him, we can gain that spiritual character and win others to Christ. Because I like the quote that Tony Dungy said: "You are an influence, whether positive or negative." And that's so true because as we go through life, people, you can really have a negative influence on people, and you can have a positive influence on people. The greatest influence we have on people is little people, kids. Best way to raise kids is what monkey see, monkey do. You know, if you want them to do something, you have to do it. Something as simple as wearing a seatbelt. I mean, there's people that don't wear seatbelts. But if you wear a seatbelt, I mean, it's easy to tell your kid to wear a seatbelt. You just close your mouth while you chew your food. You close your mouth while you chew food. So it's simple logics. And so I guess my whole story is who do we look to? Who is our monkey see, monkey do? Is Jesus. And we see his roadmap right here laid out in the pages of Scripture of how we supposed to act and how we supposed to react in situations where it's probably uncomfortable. And we fail. Oh God, I fail the worst more than anybody. But it ain't about how you fall. It's like what happens when you fall. Do you get back up like David did? Or many of the greats in the Bible that have failed. When you get up, and did you learn something from it? Are you still falling in that same sin? Or did you move on and he's purifying you from that sin and moving you to another sin that he's going to help you conquer? So these are the areas that we're really looking at in Scripture. And it really does create spiritual character. Just okay, this is a short little message, shorter than most, but hope you guys got a blessing off of it. I sure have when I read it, and my job is just to pass it on so you guys can get something out of it. All right, have a good day.